fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
All right, y'all, we're here. We're live. You're watching Buster Unmasked. This is the third show this week. It's Tuesday night. This is a show that was supposed to happen last Tuesday. We had to reschedule it, so it's kind of like a makeup test for school. But we're here today. And look, you seen the teaser trailer. Kick-Ass Wrestling is coming to Memphis, Tennessee, September 21st. Do not miss this show. From what I hear and the chatter I'm hearing, this could very well be the biggest show Memphis has seen in years and years. It's going to be a don't miss show, and you need to be there. All right, guys, tonight's the night. Look, my guest tonight, he is a second-generation pro wrestler. He's one half of Team Redneck. His dad is a legend around our area. He is the Southern Regulator, Erik Hayes. Erik.
How's it going, Buster?
What's up, dude?
Living the dream.
Man, finally. Took us an extra week to get here, but we're here, dude. Gonna be a fucking killer show, man. I'm looking forward to it, man.
It should be worth the wait.
Worth the wait, man. I heard this might be the Cat Williams of pro wrestling.
Oh yeah, I'm telling everything about everybody I know.
Hey, everybody better get the earplugs, man, if you don't want to hear something. Look, man, you kind of know how this show works, dude. Like I mentioned at the start, you was born into this wrestling business, man. Your dad, legend around our area, man. So let's just kind of start there. Take me back and tell me what it was like growing up with a dad who was a wrestler and a legend around this part of the country, man.
Oh, it was... My favorite time of the week was Friday nights at Country Nights in Dyersburg, Tennessee. Was the Dazzlers against, shoot, you had the New Texas Outlaws, Ricky Murdoch, and, well, shoot, Rhodes.
Justin Rhodes? I think it was
No, it's, dadgummit, I just talked to him the other day. And the funny part about it is he's like the long lost Rhodes that nobody talks to anymore.
Hey, that was a hell of a tag team too, man.
It was.
It's on the tip of my tongue too. It was Rhodes something.
I ain't gonna look it up right now. But whatever, it was him him and Ricky Murdoch. Then you had the Missouri Bad Boys, Mark Southern, Joey Venture, Keith Bryant. then you had uh, Missouri Renegade Forest,
Right.
Naughty by Nature, Rude and Tully, and then Poker Face come along later. Shoot, I don't. There were so many tag teams that I grew up watching as a kid, and the funny part about it is there's a big debate of how old I was when I actually started wrestling.
Yeah,
I
I
I
was going. That's a question I was going to ask you, dude. Because
I started doing spot shows about 12, 13 years old.
man, that blows me away, dude.
And
Uh,
the funny part about it is my very first match was just a comedy skit. It was me, and I swear it was Ricky Murdoch's son. We were both like I was 12, 13 years old. He was even younger than me. He was dressed up as Blade Boudreaux, and I was dressed up as Handsome Jimmy Valiant. So
damn
I had the big cotton
beard.
beard on. So we just done a little comedy spot with him. But at the time, did you know Jim Princeton, Bo Hutchins?
Bo Hutchins, yes.
Well, he was doing a gimmick, and at that time they had moved behind where the old Hickory House was, and WWF had moved where the old Hickory House was at, back behind it where the Department of Human Service is now. And I was at that young age was the same size Bo was. Well, he was doing a gimmick called CR Cockroach. He had a full body suit that looked like a cockroach. Well, everybody had figured out that it was him. So they needed somebody at the same size to put the gimmick on, come out and do a match with Big Dakota that she was with. You remember Big Dakota?
I know who she is.
Well,
I've never met her, had no interaction, but I know who she is. Yes.
she was my first legit match was against her, and I'm pretty sure we may have dislocated my shoulder by taking a choke slam that night.
And you was a cockroach in this match,
And I
huh?
was a cockroach just so Jim Princeton could come out and let the crowd see that he wasn't the one in the gimmick.
Right. Look,
So
you mentioned the Missouri Bad Boys, and Mark Southern's on here already. First thing he wants to know, he wants you to tell him how you liked watching him whoop up on your dad, man.
hey, I don't ever remember Mark beating my dad. I remember my dad whooping up on them a little bit, but tell Mark, what was Ricky Murdoch's partner's name?
Austin Rhodes.
Rhodes.
Austin Rhodes. Yep.
Yeah.
It was right on the tip of my tongue, man.
Me too. And I just talked to him probably 2 weeks ago. I talked to him on Facebook. And
Well, look. Go ahead.
no, but that was my first spot match was with Austin Rhodes and Ricky Murdoch. And then my first legit match was with Dakota.
So once you had that match, did you get to wrestle every week after that, or did you? Was it?
I done spot shows for a couple of years. Like I was 15. Do you remember Rooster Cogburn?
Right. Yes.
I worked with Rooster Cogburn, and he put me over in his retirement match when I was 15 years old.
Damn.
Yeah, listen, I had done a bunch of bumps and stuff like that. But Rooster, this is his retirement match. First off, I was 15. I'd never gotten color. So Rooster's getting color in the match. So he had the gig on his finger.
Right.
But he went to give me a snap mare. When he did, he caught me from my nose to my ear.
Ooh.
So I had blood all down the side of my face. But he's like, Eric, what high spot can you do? I said, I don't know, Rooster. I've never done anything off the ropes. He said, well, hit me with an elbow drop. So first, it was pretty good elbow. Listen, I had the tape to that match. I watched it so many times that the tape inside of it broke in half.
Right.
Then I just took a piece of Scotch tape, put back over it, put it right back in the
Right back
VCR.
together, man.
Yeah,
Yes.
got it going. But no,
Roaster was a bad dude when he was young, man. Recently, I actually seen him I didn't talk to him, I was filming, but he was actually at a show in Bradford for EIW maybe 2 years ago, about that time. He come out and was part of a match going on there, man. That's the first time I'd seen him since killer shows, man, back in the early 90s. But Rooster was a badass back in the day, man.
Well, like I said, I worked him in his retirement match. That I was 15 years old, so that was 2001, and 12 years later, I was in college in Nashville, and I had taken 6 weeks off. Week 5, Rooster called me when I was in college. He said, hey, kid. I said, what's up? He said, you know who this is? I said, yeah, it's Rooster. I've got your number saved in my phone. So, yeah, I know who you are. And he said, what are you doing this weekend? I said, nothing. I took some time off. He said, come to New Bern and work me. And I said, you ain't worked in 11 years. How you going to do that? He said, my grandbaby's never seen me work before, so I want him to see me work.
Right.
So Sarge had the book at the time. So I called Sarge and I said, Sarge, Rooster wants me to come work him this Saturday. And he said, oh, you're full of shit. He ain't. No, he don't. I said, I'm telling you, he just called me and he wants me to come work him this weekend. He said, well, I ain't going to announce it, but I'll book it. If he shows up, y'all can work. Man, I thought Sarge was going to have to go change his underwear after Rooster walked in that back door. But we get ready for the match, and I told him, I said, Rooster, I'm going to return the favor for what you did for me. I'm going to return the favor. He said, no, kid, you're here every week. I said, no, I'm not. I took some time off.
Right.
I said, I'm putting you over. And he said, no, you're not. So we had this whole elaborate match we was going to do. 2 minutes in, he tells me, all right, kid, let's take it home. I can't do this no more.
Dude, I took a bump maybe it was 2 Saturdays ago now in Missouri at the AHCW show before everybody got there, man. I got there early, and it's the first bump I'd taken in 4 years, and before that it'd been 9 years. Man, that fucking bump jarred every bit of my insides. Dude, it took me 2 minutes to quit fucking jiggling on the inside, man.
I probably hadn't wrestled 10 times in the last 2 years. Well, since I've moved to Atlanta, I haven't done anything here.
Right.
But you'll see it every once in a while. Every time I'm in town, I'll reach out to MCW and I'll come to Osceola.
Well, you were actually, I mean, was it early
3 weeks ago?
Yes, you were in Osceola. Talk to me about how that went, man.
Well, that's what I'm about to tell you. You talk about you talk about taking one bump and that's how you felt. I hadn't wrestled, like I said, I could count how many times on my both hands, how many times I've worked in the last 2 years. I worked 3 times that weekend. I showed up, they had me work the first match in Osceola. Then I come back, Derek looks at me. Hey, don't get undressed. I need you to work again in the 4th match. So
Derek needs you to do a match while his music's playing, while he's getting dressed. You can do a whole, do an 8-minute match while Derek's music's in, man.
Yeah, I was a filler match for Derek getting dressed for his entrance music. But so then I turned around and wrestled again on Saturday night against Greg Anthony.
I was going to ask you about that. I seen the post you talking about you would be in Dyersburg Saturday, and I just assumed that you went to Pro Wrestling Mid South. How was that?
Well, listen, let me give Greg Anthony a shout out because I've made friends all throughout my time in the business. I've been in Atlanta for 2 years, almost 3 years. I've probably talked to 10 companies trying to get booked. Nobody wanted to really take me serious to talk to me.
Right.
I had one conversation with Greg Anthony about me wanting to work in Atlanta. He sends me a message the day after I worked him, said, "Hey, send this guy a message." And now he's done got the ball rolling for me to have a bunch of shows here in Atlanta over the summer.
Well, that's cool, man. That's the thing, man. Greg, some people like him, some people don't. He's kind of one of them dudes. People either seem to love him or they hate him. But
I've never had an issue with Greg. Matter of fact, let me tell you a funny story about Greg before you go along with what you're fit to say. My senior prom, me and Greg Anthony had been in an angle. I got color twice a week for 6 weeks because we was doing TV at the entertainment center at the time. I went to my senior prom for 1 hour, long enough for me and my wife to take a picture, and left and went straight to the entertainment center because I was booked in a street fight against Greg Anthony.
what did your wife think about, or that future wife? What did she think about that?
Oh, she was working the concession stand in her prom dress.
There you go, man. That's the thing about wrestling. If the whole family ain't in on it, man, it can be hell, dude.
Oh, that was a great time back then. Was between I started at the entertainment center in 03 and was there until we shut the doors. And that was probably one of the funnest times I've ever had in the wrestling business.
Right. So, was it at 15 when you started? Did you start wrestling regular at that time, or when did you
No,
actually hit the
when
circuit and start wrestling full time, or at least every week?
when I was 17 is when I started. All like we was working. At times we was working at least 3 nights a week. When I was 17 to 19,
Right.
because we was doing. Well, Terry Golden still owned the bar in Dyersburg. It was Club Velocity. We were doing Club, Club Velocity on Thursdays, LAW in Rector, Arkansas on Fridays, and then we was at the entertainment center on Saturday night.
Right.
So I was working at least 3 nights a week when I was 17 to 19.
See, that's good. You need at least 3 nights a week minimum to really get in the groove of this business, man. To really for it to start becoming second nature to you. It's hard. Like now, it's around here. It's a Friday and Saturday thing, maybe a Sunday show ever so often, but it's hard for guys. It takes a longer time to progress in the ring nowadays around here than it did when you could go somewhere and maybe work 3, 4, sometimes 5 nights a week.
Oh yeah, I shared it's 3 or 4 weeks ago. I shared my dad's schedule when he was with USWA for that week back in, I think it was 93, might have been 92 or 93. He worked 6 nights. He was in Memphis on Monday, Louisville on Tuesday, Evansville on Wednesday. I think he was off on Thursday. So that was actually 5 nights. Jonesboro on Friday, Memphis Saturday morning, and Nashville Saturday night.
Right.
So that's still 6 times that week.
Right. Man, I wish we could get that back, man. I wish there would be at least one company come along. And here's my theory, Eric. Everybody wants to control the territory, but the way to control the territory is run the territory, put the guys to work so they can make money. And that's how you control a territory. That's how you become the king of the territory. Everybody wants to be the top dog, but nobody's running shows. They're on there. I mean, it's all one hit wonders, weekend shows, man. These guys really need to be working. I wish somebody would come along and put guys to work 4 nights a week at least, man.
Well, here's a double-edged sword, especially in that area. Which, first off, look how many shows you have in Memphis.
Well, see, Eric, that's
or in
my
Shelby
thing.
County.
I feel like if we had a company that was putting guys to work, where they were actually making, if they could make $100 a night, man, 5 or 6 nights a week, 4 even, I think that would kill off a lot of these companies that probably shouldn't even be running in the first place, man.
Well, that's what I call income tax promoters.
Right.
Every time somebody gets their income tax, they're like, I'm going to start a wrestling company. I'm going to get rich doing this business. I'll go ahead and tell you, I owned a wrestling show.
Right.
No, you are not going to get rich in this business. No, but like I said the same thing you said during the show with Izzy. I wish we could get a loop, because which it'd be hard for me to come all the way over there to do it, because I got a full-time job and
Right.
I can't drive to West Tennessee every night, because heck, I won't be back in time to go to work.
Right.
Especially being an hour ahead.
Yeah, really, man.
Because I don't know if you've ever driven through Atlanta, but
when I was young, man, it's been a long time, man. But when I was in my mid-20s, dude.
Look, until I moved here, me and my wife and kids, we go to Florida. When I lived in Tennessee, we go to Florida a couple times a year. And I would always say, we are not driving through Atlanta. I will take a detour a couple hours out of the way to go through Alabama before I go through Atlanta. But now, shoot, I'll jump on I-75 and roll right through there with them.
Got to get used to it, man.
Oh, trust me, I'm used to it, because I drive a 10,000-pound truck at work. So
they better get used to you then, huh? Say they better watch out for me.
Them little cars in my truck, it's going to be a losing match for them every time.
Hey,
I'm going over every time in that.
Right. Hey, you go doing some traveling around Atlanta, it sounds like, thanks to Greg Anthony coming up soon, man, hopefully.
Yeah, he definitely got the ball rolling for me. So I'm trying to lose some weight, get back into ring shape, because living here gave me a newfound respect for people trying to get on legitimate shows, because 25 years in the business, and it's this hard for me to get booked. So
yeah, it's a different world out there now. Just here's the thing, it's the mentality too. You know, with the way they do things now, man, it's the mentality. I know it sound. Here's the thing, man. I know we sound. These young guys think, well, all these old motherfuckers do is talk about, it's like they got a grudge. It ain't that, but there's some things in the wrestling business that never change, no matter who you are, where you are. There's certain things that's just the way it's done in the business and the way it should be done and the way it should be looked at. And a lot has changed, dude. I see stuff all the time, especially when I was going to shows. I seen stuff all the time that would have never happened or been tolerated 20 years ago, 25 years ago, dude. You'd have had your ass out the door.
Well, let me tell you a lost art for what we was doing 20 years ago. Walking and talking.
Right.
Because, and I used to think it was funny because I do it all the time. I would talk to whoever I was working, and I'd be like, all right, we're blah, blah, blah. This is what we're going to do. But I would tell them, the only thing that I want to know is the finish.
Right.
But they would sit there, and I love them to death, but the world's worst of writing a book before they went to the ring was the East Coast Bad Boys back in the day.
Right.
But I would I always thought it was funny, especially over the last few years. I'd talk to a new guy and be like, let them sit there and tell me every single thing they want to do. And then right before when my music's playing, right before I walk through the curtain, I would look at them and say, "Hey, we're not doing any of that shit. Just listen to me and we'll get through this, kid."
We'll call it out there, man. And see,
Yeah.
here's the thing that goes back. If these guys were having to work 4, 5, 6 nights a week, they would learn how to walk and talk because you first of all, when you're working every night of the week, especially now with social media, you
Yeah.
can't have you could have a match in Jonesboro if you wanted to. Take that motherfucker to Nashville, have the exact same match. Nobody ever knew the
I
difference.
gotta
Take it to Evansville, do the same shit. Nobody knew the difference. Now you can't do that. Hell, that
me
shit's out on Facebook before you even get through with your match. You know.
well, I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. It was probably at least 10 years ago. Me and Derek worked each other on Friday night in Union City for Greg Anthony back when his show was PWE, Pro Wrestling Elite.
Right.
We done a match. So we leave there. He calls me the next morning and said, "Hey, we got a show at 11 o'clock this morning in Eads, Tennessee." So we show up, find out we're working each other. And of course, it was already bad enough that we had just rode to the show together. And this was an outdoor show, so everybody's seen us. We get out the car, and I'm sitting. We're all in. They actually sold storage buildings, storage sheds, the wooden storage sheds.
Right.
They sold those at the workplace we were working at. So I'm sitting in one of those, burning up, putting my stuff on. He just walks over to the door and says, "Hey, we're doing the exact same match we did last night."
Right.
So that's what we did. But another thing I like doing to mess with young guys is I'll let them say all their stuff, and then I'll say, "Look, my boots have more ring time than you do. So you just listen to me and we'll get through this here."
Yeah, man. It's different. Like I said a while ago, it's so different, man. And here's the thing. The thing about planning out every single move here's the thing. That's fine if you can walk and talk beforehand because you understand that if something goes wrong, we might have to pivot. We may have to twist. We may have to change something right on the fly. But the thing that these guys do now, they'll get their whole shit laid out. And if they botch one spot somewhere,
They do it over.
the deer in the headlights look. First of all, you can tell half the time they don't really know what to do. And then instead of doing something else and working your way back into that spot that you missed so the fans don't even realize it, like you said, the minute they miss it, they go right back into the same spot and the fans know what they're going to do now. But it ain't the guy's fault, really. It's the lack of work around here, the lack of being able to work enough to really get good at this, man.
Well, it's not just that, it's also that you've got every Tom, Dick, and Harry getting booked on a show. They show up and do one or two training sessions because that's a prime example. I had somebody ask me one time to train them. And I told them from the get-go, I said, "Listen," I said, "you got Motley Crue taught me everything I know. So I'm going to train you the way Motley would train somebody."
Right.
So I sit there and worked out. We probably trained 2 or 3 weeks. Next thing I know, he tells me I can't do it. 2 months later, he's booked all over the damn place, telling people that I booked him.
Right. You
Or
trained him.
that I trained him.
Right.
Until one night I showed up in South Haven, Mississippi, and they said, "Hey, you're working Erik Hayes," when I come walking in the door. And
Yeah, I
then
bet that was a shock look on that
yeah.
motherfucker's face, man.
But I've had it happen a couple times where people will come and work out with me for 1 or 2, 3 weeks. The next thing you know, they're booked somewhere and they're telling people, yeah, Erik Hayes trained me. He's the one who broke me into business. I'm like,
Right,
no, the hell I didn't.
right. Look, Mark Southern's back, and he said promoters allowing the bullshit.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. And here's the thing: this all basically goes back to if we had one company around here that was actually running the territory. A lot of these, not only would a lot of these, in my opinion, a lot of these companies, fly-by-night companies, would not exist. A lot of the talent that worked for these fly-by-night companies would not exist because if they're running the territory, obviously the cream rises to the top. They're looking for the best talent around this area. So you're not going to be able to slip on that show with no training or half-ass or unprofessional looking because they're only going to want the best, man.
Well,
And
maybe more promoters back that way should start doing like the ones here. Every time I talk to a promoter here trying to get booked, I tell them my whole resume. Like I've been in the business 25 years. I'm a second generation wrestler. Only thing they reply with is, well, send me some links to some matches and some promo pictures.
right.
So if more promoters would do that, of hey, send me some video of you doing what you say you can do, and some professional promo pictures, and maybe we can get you on the show.
Right.
But
I just seen a post today. I had the TriStar guys on last night, and the guy who owns TriStar made a post. He said, "Look," he said, "if you're gonna send me
yeah, I
some
seen
footage to look at, I don't want your ring entrance and all that. I want to see you work." And then Shane Morton, I think it was, commented. He said, "First of all, if a guy tells you, hey, this is what I want you to send me, this is what I want to see, and then you don't send that, you send something different, I wouldn't book you already anyway because we can see you're not going to listen, you
right.
know, and you know." I want to see guys work, man. I'm from a little different concept than the guy was. I don't mind maybe seeing the interest because here's the thing: if I'm promoting and I'm booking you, unless you're established somebody around here that we can't change and want to change. If you're a new guy up and coming and you really have nothing, you're kind of a blank slate. Well, I might see something in your interest that triggers an idea for me, you know. But at the end of the day, like he said, I need you to be able to get in the ring and be able to wrestle when the bell rings because that's how I would base my show. I love entertainment, but at the end of the day, there comes a point when the entertainment has to cease and the bell has to ring, and you got to be able to do it inside the ropes.
Yeah, like he said in that post, the only reason that you need to have your entrance in that video is if your entrance is instrumental to
Your
your
gimmick,
gimmick.
right?
Yeah, I love Michael Jablonski.
Yeah, man, he cool ass dude, man. Cool dude.
I worked with him when I was working for NWA Main Event in Nashville.
Oh, really? Yeah, cool dude, man. I really only met. Well, I take that back. I met him about a year and a half ago at PIWF. Him and Coco were there doing some matches, and I met him then. And then we really hadn't had no contact until TriStar, and I hit him up and told him, said, "Man, well, I actually hit him and Coco up to bring Bad Omen on,
Yeah.
and it just happened to coincide with the time he was starting TriStar, so kind of went from there." But look, dude, you ain't the only wrestler in your family, man. You got a little brother who's a wrestler too. A lot of everybody around here knows Chris Hayes too, man. Talk to me about Look, you kind of got your first little intro at 12, and then kind of started at 15. Tell me a little bit about Chris and how he got broke into this business, man.
Well, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. My brother got brought in the business to keep me in the business because it was the same time Rooster Cogburn had asked me to come work him. I came and worked him. Well, after that, I had told, because at the time it was FTW, it was Mad Money Mike and Mark Justice who owned the show. And
What
I
was it?
told
Was
him
it Full Throttle or Full Tennessee Wrestling?
it started out as Full Throttle, and then I think because you got to remember Michael Ballard is from Trimble, which
Right,
is 5 miles from New Bern.
right.
So I think he may have said something about the Full Throttle, and then they changed it to Full Tennessee. But I had told him, I said, look, because my brother, when he got out of the Navy, he would come to training on Saturdays, and I asked him, Bubba, when do you want to start working? When do you want to start? He said, I don't want to wrestle. I just coming up here to give me something to do and to basically hang out with me.
Right.
So we had always said we was going to be Team Redneck. If he ever started wrestling, we was going to be Team Redneck. We already had our entrance music and everything because Team Redneck started out as a hunting and fishing club with him and some of our other friends. So we already had the t-shirts and all of that. We just, when we ran out of the ones he already had made and we started making them, we just didn't put the hunting and fishing on them no more.
Dude, that's why I love doing this show. Shit like that right there, them little snid bits of information that nobody knows, man.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. I love that little bit of backstory and how
But
it came about.
he got brought in because I told Mark, I said, look, because my brother kept saying, and I had been in the business that time at probably, I think 11 years. And I had only been home from the army for a year, and which I was wrestling while I was in the army. I'd drive to Tennessee, wrestle, and then get back to post. But I said I'm not coming back until my brother is ready to start wrestling because he kept telling me he didn't want to wrestle. So they called me. I was in college in Nashville. And they called me and said, hey, you want to come back Friday night? We're doing a hardcore show because I was doing a bunch of hardcore stuff at that time. And I said, no, I'm just not going to come back until my brother's ready to start working. And they said, well, you're going to be a surprise partner in the main event Friday night. And then you and your brother's going to start tagging on Saturday. So I said, well, I guess I'm coming back then. And man, that's how my brother got brought into the business. But he was also, and I think we hurt his feelings one time when we told him, but it was me, my dad, Derek, and John Michael, the trendsetter, was all sitting there. And of course, me and my brother was over because I had established our name and he was pretty. So that's what that's what that's what we told him because I would always have him take the heat and
Right.
I would get the hot tag and come in.
Yeah, ain't no
And
use wasting the heat on an ugly motherfucker, man. You
right,
need the pretty motherfucker do it.
but that's what we told him. We said, listen, you're the pretty boy for the girls. You're pretty, you get the heat, or you get the heat on you, you'll get more sympathy. And then you give me the hot tag. I'm the worker of the two of us. So I'll come in, clean house, and do the working. All you gotta do is be able to take an ass whooping and look pretty and get some sympathy. Because my brother would tell you all the time, he hated when I took the heat. Because he'd always say, Bubba, I'm not a good cheerleader. I can't sit over there and get the people behind you like you can me. So that was our recipe. We would go in, I'd get some shine, he'd get some shine. Uh, like, all right, take the heat on the little one.
Ricky
And
Morton time.
yes, sir. Get him, Punky. But yeah, but uh, that was how my brother got in. And hey, I'm proud of everything he's done and accomplished. He has wrestled. Well, I was going to say he's wrestled more places than me, but that's not true. He's made more connections than I have
Yeah, man.
outside of the Mid South. Like he was working for Burt Prentice in Nashville and Jackson and stuff like that. I would just do Memphis and Dyersburg and Arkansas and northern Mississippi, which I've wrestled in Nashville for Mike Porter's NWA Mid South.
Right.
I was going to go to work for Mike Cersei's NWA Top Rope, but I was in college at the time, so I would drive back to Dyersburg every Friday when I got out of class, and Top Rope ran in Lebanon, Tennessee on Saturday nights. So I wasn't getting to see my wife and kids. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just gonna head home. I ain't worried about it because my partner at the time in Nashville was Kerry Awful. Have you ever heard of the Carnies or Team IOU? Or it's Kerry Awful and Nick Iggy.
Team IOU sounds really familiar to me, dude.
Well, that's Kerry Awful and Nick Iggy. Me and Kerry Awful were a tag team for Main Event, and he worked for Top Rope, so I was going to go over there, but it never worked out to where I went.
Man, look, talking about Chris here. Now he hadn't been around. He's kind of taking some time off right now. It's been a while since he's really wrestled any, but before that, over the past year and a half, 2 years, man, he had a real good run in Memphis wrestling, the new version, Dustin Starr's Memphis wrestling. And dude, the whole time I'm watching this shit, man, I keep thinking, when are you gonna show up and Team Redneck gonna show up, man? Was it ever even an idea or anything, a thought or what?
It was an idea to me and him, but let me ask you this. If you spent 10 years building a gimmick and somebody told you you can't do that gimmick on Memphis Wrestling, would you want to go?
Why? What was the reason you couldn't do Team Redneck on Memphis Wrestling? I mean, you couldn't get no more redneck. Chris was already, what was it? He was with a dude who was like the rock guy, and Chris was like the redneck country guy. So, I mean, he was already half redneck right there.
I was told we cannot say the word redneck on TV.
I don't believe that.
Me neither.
You
know why I don't believe that? Because I've talked to Dustin Starr about it and said, I'd love to have Team Redneck come to Memphis Wrestling. He'd always tell me, well, come on.
So why didn't it happen?
Because Derek King told me I couldn't say the word redneck on TV.
I just don't understand that. When I don't even see that, man, what's wrong with the word redneck?
I mean, know.
Look, 90% of the motherfuckers watching the show are rednecks. Come on, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the reason why you never seen us, was because Derek said you can't be called Team Redneck on TV. And I said, well, I'm not coming to tag up with him and not be able to be called Team Redneck. Because trust me, I would have loved to work TV with my brother.
Right.
Because I still lived in Tennessee whenever he was working for Memphis Wrestling. But
well, let me ask you this. Was there a counter offer? Like, was there an idea for maybe y'all being named something different? Or was it just like, no Team Redneck, and that was the end of it?
Yeah, it was just, you can't be Team Redneck. That's the end of the conversation. But the funny part is I would have had to get all new tights because my tights actually say Team Redneck on them.
Right.
But before the country rock gimmick ever came in, me and my brother had talked about it, and he was talking about that they wanted them to do the gimmick on TV just without the name. So I went and copyrighted the logo because my brother's got the logo tattooed on his chest.
Right.
And it says Team Redneck on his chest.
So that explains to why that there explains why they kept him covered up, because I don't remember Chris ever being on TV with his shirt off. Now that you say that, he always, one time he tried that black shirt gimmick and kind of sleeveless, and then he went to the redneck, basically went to the camo and stuff and the beard. But that explains that then, because I always wondered. I thought, why are they covering him up so much? Why is he covered up so much?
He did work quite a few times wearing trunks and no shirt. But
did he?
Yes, but it never zoomed in to where you could see the logo And I told him, I said, Bubba, I will never say anything because I had the logo trademarked. I said, I'll never say anything until they if they ever have you come out doing the gimmick without the name, then I'll send a cease and desist order to the TV studio.
Dude, I kind of understand that because Buster Johnson, you know how that came about? Because
Because you couldn't be Hellraiser?
USW, I don't think that I couldn't be. They just didn't want to have, they didn't want to be saying Hellraiser on TV over and over, the announcers and stuff. And that's kind of how, that's where Buster Johnson came from, man, because I couldn't be Hellraiser. And they asked, what do you want to be? What do you want us to call you? And I got like 2 hours before the show, you know, and I'm like, man, when you're used to being something for so long, and here's the thing, if I'd have been at home the night before, I probably could have come up with 10,000 good names. When they put me on the spot, I could not think of shit. Dutch tells me, think of a name. He comes back about 45 minutes later, he said, what's your name? I said, I don't have no fucking clue, Dutch. I do not know. He said, you got about 40 more minutes. Get us a name. Yeah. He come back about 20 minutes later. He said, you got a name? I said, no. He says, you're Buster Johnson. I said, well, I guess I'm Buster fucking Johnson, man. It didn't really work for me at first, but as you can see, it kind of ended up working for me in the end, you know. But
I did work for Lawler's Memphis Wrestling back in the early 2000s.
Oh, did you? Back when they used to, they ran Dyersburg. They actually did their taping out of Dyersburg.
I worked in the TV studios in Memphis.
Oh, okay.
Whenever it was UPN 30, and then also when it was after it turned into CW 30.
Right.
Yeah. Lawler told me at TV in a production meeting that I'll never be as good as my dad.
Damn.
Yeah.
Man, here's the thing about Lawler.
I love Lawler.
I do too, man. But he has a look. And look, I'd been wrestling for about 5 years. This was 1997, so about 5 years. But I had just really started working for USWA, and I lived in Helena, Arkansas at the time. So the Lady Luck was right across the river from me, so they would book me on that show. So Lawler and Dutch is in a battle royal one night, in Lumberjack Battle Royal. All of us are out around the ring. And man, I ain't even thinking nothing about it. It's not even crossing my mind. First of all, I'm just happy to fucking be there at the time. And I'm trying to keep a job. So Lawler works me like a motherfucker, man. He comes over to the edge of the ring on his entrance and picked me out because I guess he knew I'd fall for it. He went to hand his fucking crown out. Guess what my dumb ass did?
Dropped it.
No, I went to reach for, I'm a heel. I went to reach for this fucking crown. He looks at me and laughs and says, fucking idiot. Yeah. What can I do, man? But I like Lawler too, man.
I worked him when he came to New Bern too. Me and Dustin Starr tagged up against Lawler and Derek when he came to New Bern.
Yeah, Lawler's a cool dude, man. I will say this. He is the absolute best, in my opinion, ring general, maybe in the history of fucking pro wrestling. He does not enough credit, man. He's the type of guy that first time I ever worked him on TV, I'm nervous, but I'm not overly nervous. But man, the minute he got in the ring, it's like everything slowed down. Even before we touched, man, it's like everything slowed down, and you kind of knew, hey, all I got to do is listen. And dude, man,
and he's probably the lightest person you'll ever work too.
It's like magic, man. He's like a magician in the ring. He makes you see shit that don't actually happen. Doug McKay said that a couple years ago. He said Lawler has the ability to make you see things that didn't actually happen sometimes, and he does, man. He's a genius in the fucking ring, man. Look,
Lawler's one of the only people I've ever seen get the Phantom gimmick over.
Right. And get it over. I mean, nobody knows the difference because everybody tries that bullshit, man. Yeah. You know, look, Mark Souther's back, and he says, Buster, you forgot the Moonshiner gimmick. Yes, Jason Vaughn and Chris were the Moonshiners. It's a wonder that never got on TV. I wonder how that never got on TV.
They worked TV together.
Like Dustin Stars TV?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I guess I
Yeah.
missed that somehow.
Well, listen, I love Jason Vaughn to death too. Me and him both Army veterans. I've known him for forever. Not the most reliable person to book.
Dude, look, man, I had a podcast set up, and it was a pivotal podcast for me because I'd invested so much time into Jason Vaughn is America. You know, he's kind of a biker, he's a cowboy, he's a wrestler, and he's a soldier, like you said. So I had this whole concept of Jason Vaughn is America. Man, about 30 minutes before showtime, he had something come up. I take him for his word, man.
You could say all that same stuff about me. If I wasn't on a laptop, I could take you to my garage. I've got a Harley in my garage. I'm a biker. I'm a soldier. I'm a wrestler.
That's what I'm saying. I built a whole concept around him, and it was actually supposed to be the first show that would have went on Genesis, but we had to cancel it, and then right after that, I figured out that I had to upgrade. I had to go to 1080p. So even if we would have done the show, it wouldn't have got to air because it would have been too low of quality. But dude, I had this whole fucking concept. I spent weeks like in my head and getting pictures and all kind of stuff, and then boom, about 30 minutes before the show, man, this came up.
You talk about he said it 30 minutes. We booked him in New when me and Dad owned LAW in New, and we actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was actually our champion. And we had a snowstorm, which it wasn't that bad. Heck, everybody was driving there. So about 10 minutes before bell time, I called Jason. I was like, "Where are you at?" He said, "Man, I'm sorry I'm running late. I'm coming across the Mississippi River right now. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I was like, "All right." Hour later, I called him again. "Man, I'm about 30 minutes away." I said, "You told me that an hour ago." He never showed up for the show.
Maybe he was going in the other direction, man. Well, you don't know, dude.
Apparently, he was going in a big circle that was 30 minutes from Newbern.
Look, Mark Southern's back, and he said, "I'll book y'all. Come to Missouri." He said, "I called Chris, and he told me that he ain't rapping no more." Which I heard that Chris was really, his kids are getting a little older, and they're doing sports now. And the word I got was that Chris wanted to be there for all that stuff. Is a lot to do with why he's not wrestling. But you're his brother, man.
Well, I'll let you believe that story.
So smarten us up, though. Can you tell us? Is there a reason why we hadn't seen Chris? Because really, he was everywhere, and then boom, out of nowhere, he just disappeared. And I'm sitting there, and about 3 months after I hadn't seen him, it hit me. I said, me and my old lady was watching TV one day, maybe in Memphis Wrestling. I told her, I said, I ain't seen Chris nowhere, and not on no shows, not TV, not none of these local shows at all, and I hadn't seen him wrestle since, man.
Well, y'all was supposed to have seen him December the 22nd, but our sister was in the ICU, and because she was like, she had a heart attack, a couple of them, and like I was already coming to town anyways for Christmas, but I came in a day earlier than I was supposed to because I got the call that she was in ICU, and literally I had just gotten out of the shower on Friday night. We were supposed to work the Hustlers in Osceola. Been booked for a few weeks. We'd been pushing the hell out of the match. And I had just gotten out of the shower, was getting dressed, and we got a call from our stepmom, and like she was hysterical.
Right.
And so we jumped in the car, which I contacted all the Claps because I love them to death and I always want to do good business. And I told them, I said, "Look, I'm not 100% sure, but we may not make it tonight." Which, of course, they understood what was going on and stuff like that. But my dad, everybody told us, "Look, y'all can go to the show. They got her stabilized. Everything's fine. Well, my brother didn't want to be that far. He didn't want to be 2 hours away
Right, I understand
and
that,
something
man.
happening. Listen, wrestling, trust me, I love my sister probably more than my brother does. But wrestling's been my entire life. So if I'm booked on a show, I'm going to be there regardless of what's going on. So I went over and I tagged up with some young kid and still worked the hustlers. But yeah, I'm not going to put his personal business out there, but he he's back with his wife. So
Well, here's the thing.
wrestling isn't the best place for him to be.
Well, here's the thing too, man. You know, wrestling at the level we do it as at, it's always going to be here.
Yeah,
If you got personal issues you need to take care of, or like I said, the word I got was that his kids were getting older, they were getting into sports, he wanted to be there and be able to go to these games and stuff. And dude, I'm fully for that because wrestling will always be here. When he gets ready to come back, it'll be here waiting on him.
yeah.
You know,
No, but he's to the point in his career where I was at when I decided that I wanted to stop working. So I can kind of understand that. Look, he's done this for over a decade. He probably starting to feel it like I do.
right?
Well, not quite like I do because I've got twice as long in the business.
Yeah, but you
But
got to remember he took all the heat, so he got his ass kicked a lot during these matches, dude.
I was in the business for 10 years before he ever got in, 15 years before he ever stepped foot in the ring. So I don't want to hear anything, but I was Motley. I was Motley Cruz and 187's test dummy
Test dummy.
for about
Motley loves test dummies, man. He does, man.
for about 3 years. I was their test dummy. Motley would he'd be like, Eric, I came up with a new tag team finish. I
Dude,
need you to take it.
I was just figuring to say that motherfucker will invent new moves just to test them out on your ass, man.
Yeah. But no, I loved working with him and 187. Did you know Gator McAllister?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one of the first tag moves that Motley came up with that they wanted to test on me, they done it on me. Everything worked out perfect. We worked the entertainment center that Saturday night. Gator done they done the finish. Gator broke his wrist.
Mm,
So then they all started wearing wrist braces.
right,
So that just gave Motley more places to hide his fork and stuff.
right.
But no, listen, I know everybody on every podcast says it, and even my wife laughs about it when I say Motley's name. Motley Cruz does not get enough credit for his influence on the business in that
Especially
area.
around this area, man.
Yeah.
I
Motley
mean,
and my dad tagged up in the 80s in Memphis.
man, look, I tagged with Motley for a couple of years. Actually, I've been around Motley since about late 93, maybe 94. I think he'd actually just gotten out of prison when the first time I ever met Motley, he actually refereed my match.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yes, man. And I guess he took a liking to me or something because from that point on, man, it wasn't long. A day or two later, I get a call from Motley, and he's like, "Hey, man, you want to come here or go here or come here? I want to get you over here, man." Motley got us down in Texas, in Missouri. Uh, dude, Motley's.
Let me tell you a funny story about Motley. Well, it was me, Motley, Tasha, 187, 187's parents. We all loaded up in a van. Motley got us booked on a hardcore show. They were having a hardcore tournament, and I was working Motley in the first round of the tournament, but it was in O'Fallon, Illinois. So I was 19 years old. I was still doing some of the gimmick at the time.
Right.
And of course, the whole ride there, everybody in the car is hitting the gimmick.
Right.
We show up at this show, the entire ring was in pieces on a 5x8 trailer. I was like, that shit is not going to withstand me and Motley taking bumps in it. Because I guarantee you, there's probably going to be a couple superplexes, which at the time I probably didn't weigh, but maybe 200 pounds, 190, 200, something like that. But me and Motley, we were taking some hard bumps when we were taking bumps.
Yeah, Motley's an attack the mat type bumper, man.
And like I know it didn't come out right when I was trying to type it during you and Izzy's show, but I don't think I ever done a match against Motley where he didn't call Duck 8. He'd shoot me off just to mess with me. And he'd like, all right, kid, Duck 8. I'm like, what the fuck are you trying to do? Kill me, Motley? We was just doing the same stuff together in the back. What are you talking about, Duck 8? I don't got the energy to Duck 8.
That's what he was doing. He's making sure he got your ass blowed up, man.
Oh, he had me blowed up. I'm very working. I think Motley's the only person that I've ever worked that I'm claustrophobic with, because he will hook me and cover up my face as he hooks me. I'm like, Motley, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Dude, me and Motley started out as opponents. He was the referee the first time I ever met him. After that, we were opponents, man, everywhere. Mississippi, for Bill Ash up in Arkansas, in Missouri, in Texas, we were opponents. And then we became a tag team. Somewhere a couple years later, we started tagging. But Motley, before we became a tag team, me and somebody was tagging against him and Ron McClarty in Osceola. This was before LaFonts and any of that. This was even before Moondog. This was this was probably a Motley show, because he had the old car dealership in Osceola for a little bit before Moondog actually come in and got it. But they get me in the ring, man, and at this time I got this old red thick heavyweight material KAW mask, old school Mr. Wrestling 2 style, and these motherfuckers go to turn this motherfucker around, man, and man, you're sucking air, and that fucking mask is so thick, and you can just see that fucking mask sucking in my mouth, man. They over there laughing, and I'm fucking dying, man.
Oh yeah, Motley thought it was funny, but hey, he toughened me up a lot. And anytime I was on the same show as Motley, I was always, let me just work Motley. I know I'm going to work my ass off, but we'll have a good match, and I'll probably get color.
Right. Later on, I had a spandex mask, and somewhere we did that same shit again. Motley twisted my mask around, but this time with that thin spandex, man, I was laughing too, because I could breathe like a motherfucker through it, man. Yeah. That first time, dude, I had to turn the mask back around myself, because literally I was already sucking wind, because they done run me to fucking death, rope to rope, man. And then they want to turn my fucking mask, and man, I could not get no air through that sumbitch, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something to.
That's Erik J, man. He's one of my dudes up here from West Tennessee, always at Premier Pro, man. He says, what's going on, guys? Enjoying the show, Big Buster. Erik, I'm glad you're here watching, man. I seen all them fish you caught, man. You be slaying the fish, dude.
I don't like that profile picture too much.
What is it?
Tennessee volunteer player.
Oh, I got you. Hell.
I'm a Florida Gator fan.
Oh, he's a big fucking Tennessee guy, so we'll have a fucking football war on this motherfucker before it's over, man.
Yeah.
So look, man. Normally I would have pictures, but I'm still having some issues. I got a new computer, but I don't know whether it's StreamYard or what, but I'm having issues loading up pictures. So what I did do is I took the pictures that I had and turned them into a slideshow, a video, and I can actually get upload the video. So, man, do you want to check this thing out, and then maybe we'll talk about some of these pictures, man?
Definitely.
Let's do that, dude. Let's do that.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls. I feel like life is on hold, perception stuck in a vault. I know that time can heal all, but how much time till we fall? It's awfully chilly outside, when there's no shelter to hide. When everything is a lie, you'll find that out in some time. But when the things on your mind are all considered a crime, communication aside, we'll all just fight till we die. Is this an argument, or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it. Can I just get some space? I don't have the heart for this. I can't be picking up the pieces, fixing scars from this. Is this an argument, or just the start of it? I wanna drive away so I can be so far from it. I wanna find a place where no one breaks their promises. Or maybe drown myself in something that is bottomless. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. I know that things seem bad, but they could be much worse. There's always someone else who has a greater curse, a greater thirst, a hunger, pain, and mercy. Just find whatever you got and try to be thankful first. I wanna feel again, I need a couple friends. I never really understood just how the story ends, but I can feel it's tense, don't know the consequence. The volatility of life, my only confidence. Is this an argument, or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it. Can I just get some space? I don't have the heart for this. I can't be picking up the pieces, fixing scars from this. Is this an argument, or just the start of it? I wanna drive away so I can be so far from it. I wanna find a place where no one breaks their promises. Or maybe drown myself in something that is bottomless. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all.
Erik, man, a lot of pictures there, dude. As you can see, the theme of it was kind of friends and family. Dude, you mentioned earlier, you're a biker, you're a soldier, you're a wrestler, you're also a father. Talk to me a little bit about, man, your family and stuff, dude. That's the one thing we hadn't kind of touched on. Talk to me about being a family man, dude.
Oh, that's the every one of those pictures. That's the reason I wake up every day. Is the only thing now. Like I said, I don't I I love the business, but the all the people you just showed, that's my whole world.
Right.
Like I don't think nobody realizes, like I said earlier, I've made a lot of friends in this business, but the people you just showed, people don't realize how close I am to, like Derek King is like my older brother. Like
Right.
he's family. He ain't just a friend. Dale Tucker, me and him, I was actually Dale Tucker's older brother's best friend, and he got killed back in 2001. And I told Dale, I said, from now on, I'm your big brother.
Right.
So, and then Cheeseburger, Addison Kane, showed up to spend one night at my house and left 4 years later.
Dude,
Legit,
I've had friends
no,
like that, and I've been
that's
that friend too, man.
no, that's legit. Like he showed up to spend the night, one night, and 4 years later, I bribed him to move out of my house.
Man, look, man, you gotta go, man. It's
Hey,
time, dude.
we had some hellacious times together though while he lived with me. Shit, the LA Hustlers. We go on a fringe trip. Last year we went to Mexico on a cruise.
Cruise, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Bub, Zane Richards, one of my longest friends that I've got. Me and him, me and him were working against each other and tagging our entire wrestling careers.
Right.
187, I've known him for 25 years. Love him to death. Love the whole Clapp family. But my wife and kids are my world. And like the first picture with my dad back in probably the 80s, early
Right.
90s. He's the one that got all this started. I grew up wanting to be exactly like my daddy.
Right.
And that's the only thing that ever mattered to me was making my daddy proud. Some of the proudest moments I ever had in the business was tagging up with my dad whenever I was a teenager, and then my dad tagging up with me and my brother as Team Redneck to do 6-man tag matches.
Yes, that had to be that would have to be cool as hell, man. Tagging with your brother and your dad, man. That's everybody don't get that opportunity, dude.
Oh yeah, my dad would tell you like when we owned the show in New Bern, he said which my dad never cared anything about the business after about the early 2000s. Dad would come around just to do some stuff because he knew anytime he showed up at a show, he couldn't resist doing something on the show. So
Right.
he wouldn't hardly come around, but he would tell you when Whiskey in My Soul hit on Saturday nights in New Bern and that damn roof come off the building every week. He said it'd give him chills. No matter how many times he saw it.
Right.
That was his proudest moment was uh because I asked him one night, I said, Dad, what was the highlight of your career? Working Eric Embry in Dyersburg, making the biggest PO you ever made in USWA, being in the main event, dressed up as Richard Lee with the Moondogs and Lawler and Jarrett.
Right.
He's like tagging up with my sons. That was the highlight of his career.
Oh yeah, man. I can see that, man. I was gonna ask you that, man. What is once both of you boys got in the business and were kind of out doing your own thing, and he was out, man. What does he think about y'all being in the business, man? Here's the thing: a lot of fathers uh, don't really. They try to steer their kids away from this business because they know how it is. They know the business. Like you said at the start, it ain't a business that you're going to make money at unless you get lucky and make it to the big time. You're not going to make money. You're going to be gone a lot. If you've got a wife or a girlfriend or a family, it puts a stress on that if everybody's not on board. So talk to me about your dad a minute and his thoughts about, obviously, he knew you guys when y'all broke in. He kind of broke. I'm sure he had something to do with breaking you guys in, didn't he?
Uh, he really didn't have a hand in my brother at all getting
Well,
in the business.
well, then take me. Did your dad want you guys in the business, or did he kind of wish y'all would have done something else?
My dad knew from the day I was born
That you was gonna be a
that
wrestler?
I was going to listen. I've heard this story my entire life, and I finally got because I always only heard my dad's side of the story. But finally, on my 33rd birthday, I got my mom and my dad both in my house at the same time and had dad tell the story again. The night that I was born, February the 7th, 1986, my dad he was the one booking the show and running the show. He was at the Newbern National Guard Armory and had just got done setting the ring up and was in there working out a little bit before the show. And my mom called him and said, I'm on the way to the hospital to have your son if you even care, you sorry son of a bitch. So dad left the show, came to the hospital, see me. He was there when I was born, stood at the nursery room window, waited for him to bring me in there so he could goo goo and gaga with everybody. And then he left. He went back. He went back and done the show.
Right.
He'd always say, he said, it wasn't like it was just a random show. I couldn't just call and say, hey, my son was just born. I'm not going to be able to make it back to the show. He said, it was my show. I was the one doing the show. So he went back, done the show. As soon as it was over, he came back and spent the night in the hotel room with us. But I finally got him to tell that story in front of my mom, and my mom said, well, that's about accurate. Yeah.
I mean, that's the wrestling business, especially your dad, man. When did your dad actually start wrestling? Because here's the thing: back in his day,
1983.
That's what wrestlers did.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a wrestler and you had a match, I mean, at all costs, I mean, it was almost, you were almost obligated, to be there, because especially if you were part of an angle that actually the people paid to see and came in on. I mean, that's just the way the business was back then, man. Now it's a lot different. Now I see the big time stars in WWE and shit, man. They'll if they got a kid being born, they'll call right off, man, and it's cool with everybody, the company and everybody. But here's the thing: back in the day, I mean, you missed the right show, you missed the wrong show, you could lose your job. Just lucky it was your dad's show, so he didn't have to worry about that. But being his show, like he said, I had to be. I need to be there. It's my show. I'm the one that put this together. I'm running it. I need to be there to make sure it happens the way it's supposed to happen. And it's just the business, man. It's just the business.
The cool part about that is, take a wild guess where my first match happened at.
National Guard Armory in Newbern?
Newbern National Guard Armory.
That's cool, man. That's fate, dude. That's fate.
Yeah, my very first match. And actually, I was actually at my mom's house, and my dad called her and said, hey, I need you to bring Erik to the National Guard in Newbern. And of course, it was an argument because my mom hates wrestling.
I was just fixing to ask you that. I was fixing to flip that coin and ask you. We kind of got your dad's perspective. What did your mama think about you boys getting into the wrestling business?
Well, my brother didn't get in it until he was already in his 20s.
Right.
So she didn't have much to say about him. But me, it was hard for me because I was at my mom's one weekend, my dad's the next weekend. So every other weekend, I was at the other house.
Right.
My mom would always tell me, you're not wrestling on my weekends. So I got to, but
that's what I was going to say. Yeah. How well did that work out for her?
Yeah, she knew from the day I was born too that I was going to be a professional wrestler.
Just there ain't no hope. He gonna be just like his daddy, man.
Oh yeah, I am exactly like my daddy. Other than I grow a full beard, and Dad likes just having the mustache or maybe the goatee every once in a while. I shaved for too long in the military. When I was in the military, I said, I will never shave again unless I want to. And then I grew it out. Then I got a job where I had to be clean shaven. I was like, ain't this some shit?
Spent all this time growing this shit. Now I gotta cut it, man.
But now I've had the job I've got now. Matter of fact, tomorrow is my 9-year anniversary being there, so they don't give a damn what I look like.
So have you been in Atlanta for 9 years now? Because
No. I just moved
okay.
to I moved to Atlanta in September of 2021.
Okay, because see, the first time I met you was at New Bern.
Yeah,
Probably,
no, at that time I lived like half a mile from the building.
Yeah, I want to say it was probably 2020 sometime in 2020 when I met you the first time. And I didn't even know Chris had a brother at the time because I didn't know nothing about Chris until I went to New Bern and seen Chris. And then I didn't really go in the back that much. So I didn't really know who was back there and who wasn't. And all of a sudden I hear the new Hayes get announced, man. I'm like, this motherfucker got to be kin to Chris somehow because surely they ain't got another Hayes coming in on top of Chris. But that was my first introduction to you, dude.
I was surprised that you and my dad's paths never crossed.
Me too, man. Because I actually had Chris on a bullshitting with Buster when it was in its infancy. He was like
4.
Yeah, I mean, he was like my third or fourth show, and it was a little different then, man. It's kind of evolved. This thing's evolved way past that. I'd love to get Chris back on sometime. I'll be honest with you, I would love to get you, Chris, and your dad on here sometime all together, man. I think that'd be a hell of an interesting show.
Yeah, you got to get Dad off the golf course long enough to do that.
Tell him, man, we doing a podcast. We're gonna be on Genesis TV, man. Tell him it's time to get back on TV, man. He got 2 or 3 hours he can get off the golf course, man, and come do a show with you guys.
Let me tell you what my dad's gonna say if I say, Dad, let's get back on TV. He'll say, son, I ain't got a damn reason to be on TV. Yeah, but no, there's no love like what I have for my family.
Right.
Words can't describe how I feel about my family. Me and my wife been together for 21 years. My oldest daughter's 18. My youngest is 13. I'm only 38, so I'm going to be a young, childless home pretty soon. Which that drives my wife crazy because we'll be 41 and 42 when our youngest is 18. So
dude,
we've been parents our entire adult life. So I'm ready for us to be able to just cut out and go do whatever we want to and not have to worry about, well, what we gonna do with the kids?
Right, man. I got a 13, a 14-year-old, and I got a 5-year-old, and me and you were chatting some before we went live, and I told you, I said, man, I was thinking about the other day, and I told my wife, I said, when she gets 15, I'll be 60. I mean, I just turned 50 in January, and I'm like, man, when she gets 18, I'll be 63, man. I'm like, man, I'm a little too old for this shit, maybe, man. You know what I mean?
You ain't gonna be able to get in the floor and crawl around with your grandbabies.
Man, my knees already, dude. Look, here's the thing. Now, if I got in the ring and started getting in a little shape, I'd always have to wear my knee pads because, man, I fucked both of my knees up at different times pretty bad. And obviously no insurance at the time or nothing, so I never got them fixed at all. Just worked around them and lived with them. But, man, when I took that bump 2 Saturdays ago, I didn't even get up in the ring. I rolled out under the bottom rope, dude.
Look, my wife never comes with me to Osceola. Very seldom will she come to Osceola to watch me. But like when I worked with Golden Boy, when I got home from the show, she was there watching, but we of course took separate vehicles so I could get there earlier.
Right.
She said, "You was blowed up, wasn't you?" I said, literally, because I was the heel, so I kept just powdering to the floor.
Right.
If I got blowed up, I'd just powder to the floor. But I don't know if you've ever been to Greg Anthony's show. But
actually, I hadn't, dude. I'm gonna go.
he's got a hell of a setup. He runs a great show. But when you're in the middle of his ring, you can feel the air conditioning.
Oh man, that's where you wanted
So,
to stay, wasn't it?
so I was taking my heat, and I grabbed him in a rear chin lock. He said, let's just. I said, dude, I'm blowed the fuck up. He said, well, let's just sit here for a second. I said, motherfucker, we wasn't moving if you wanted to. I said, because I said, I'm in the air conditioning. I ain't trying to do nothing right now.
Right, man.
But
Dude, it's
yeah,
rough, man. It's when you do it all the time, you get to where none of it phases you. The bumps, you don't blow up. There's no. The only way to get your ring wind up is to actually be in the ring wrestling. You can do all the cardio different ways. You can run, ride bicycles, life cycles, stair steppers, all this bullshit. But the only way you can really get your wind up for being in the ring is actually getting in the ring and being in there and doing it, man.
oh yeah, it's totally like whenever I was working all the time, my wife used to laugh at me because I'm talking dog ass sick, probably the flu. And I'd be walking around the dressing room and you could tell I was on death's doorstep just about. Soon as my music hit and I walked through the curtain, I didn't feel a damn thing until I come back through the curtain.
Man, that's how it
Once you
is,
get
dude.
that adrenaline boost from hearing the crowd, there ain't nothing like it.
Yeah, it's addicted, man, and there is nothing like it, man. Look, I've done my share of a little bit of everything in my younger days, and there's no substitute for that feeling when you break that curtain and you hit the center of that ring.
Oh yeah.
There's no drug that equals that. None.
And the worst thing that can happen for anybody is when you come through that curtain and the people are sitting on their hands. That'll suck all the adrenaline right back out of you.
You're like, damn, maybe I should go
Maybe I
back.
shouldn't have showed up tonight.
Maybe they
Hey,
expected somebody else.
it happened to me one night. I walked out, and the crowd wasn't that big and they weren't that hot. So I come through the curtain, and they were just sitting on their hands. And I told them, I said, hold on just a second. And I walked back through the curtain and came back out again and hollered. And then they finally got with me. I was like, all right, we can do this now.
Dude, I wore a mask for from the start of my career. I wore a mask for probably the first 3 fucking years, and I was a heel always too. So anytime I didn't cut promos. My brother Sam was my manager, so he did all the talking. But the minute we broke that curtain, I did my Hellraiser scream, man, and
Yeah.
you'd be surprised. You can take a dead crowd, and if you can't come out and you got some energy and you make a little noise, most of the time they'll start coming right up with you, you know.
Oh yeah.
So look, Eric, we got about 30 more minutes of time left on this thing. Let's go back a little bit and talk about Derek King. Like you said, Derek, man, you and Derek's almost like family, or our family, pretty much. Talk to me a little bit about how you met Derek and everything, man. Obviously, you growed up. You met him when you were young. I know that.
I met him when I was 17. When I started working on a weekly basis is when I met Derek. But the funny thing is, do you know Superman Jason Reed?
Yeah, I know who he is.
Well, Superman Jason Reed is my wife's uncle.
Ah, didn't know that.
Yeah, and I've known him longer than I've known my wife. But me and her were driving down Lake Road in Dyersburg, and we pulled up beside him, and he said, hey, you still wrestling? And I told him, yeah, which I was doing some shows at the other show in Dyersburg at the time for Loverboy Barry. And I said, yeah. He said, well, come to the entertainment center on Saturday night. I said, all right. Well, when I showed up, it was the Moondog Spot Memorial Battle Royal. It was like, what, 2 months after Dog died.
Oh, really?
So we were doing a Moondog Battle Royal. And Dog's partner, when he passed away, was in the Battle Royal. So that's the night that I actually met Derek, which I had seen, of course. I watched Power Pro and stuff
Right.
like that. So I knew him from there. So, of course, at the time, I gave him my phone number, and he he's like, we do training on Sundays and work out. So I I was like, all right. Well, he called me, and then we still joke about it. Whenever the name came up on the caller ID, when he called me, I was probably marked out more than I ever did in my life. I was like, hell yeah, Derek King's calling me. But from then on, we started hanging out more and more and more, and then over the years, we just became like family. He Me and Dale Tucker always argue over who's Derek's number one protege. And depending on the crowd that we're around, is which one Derek will tell you is number one.
Right.
So
Derek,
if we're around certain people, he'll say I am. If we're around other people, he'll say Tucker is.
and if neither one of y'all are around, he'll probably say neither one of them, man.
No, if neither one of us is around, it'll be me.
Derek's crazy, man. I've known Derek pretty much since he broke into business, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Between Derek and the Hustlers,
Talk to me about the Hustlers. How'd you meet the Hustlers, man? Because that's where I was headed. Me and you were in sync. It's like we're reading each other's mind, because that's exactly where I was going.
well, the Hustlers, I actually met, shit, probably about 10 years ago. I don't remember if me and my brother came to Osceola or if we met them in New Bern or in Dyer County. But we worked each other everywhere we went because we were basically the top two tag teams around.
Right.
So then we started hanging out a few years ago, and now it's me and Bradley talk all the time, and then me and Lamont, I'll call him just because I'm cooking, and he's skinny and always hungry.
That's because
So-
Bradley be eating all his fucking food, man.
Well, Bradley's on a diet, so Bradley ain't eating as much right now.
I seen that, man. He been looking good. I've been seeing him post his pictures. I'm glad he's doing that, man, because at least he ain't Facebook philosophizing or whatever you want to call it. He's like a Facebook philosopher, man.
Well, just think about it this way. He's not going to order new gear just because he gets smaller, so that drawstring missing from his shorts is going to get even worse.
Man, he kills me. That's my only pet peeve with the Hustlers whatsoever. We got to look, next Christmas, we got to get this fucker a drawstring or something, man.
Yeah, I said, Bradley, your damn shorts are going to fall off in the middle of a match one night. Matter of fact, next time I come to Osceola and I'm in the ring with him, I'm just going to walk up behind him and snatch him down.
They're about fall, man.
I know.
He spends most of his time in the ring pulling them up, man. So he definitely needs a drawstring. I'll be on his ass all the time, man. I told him at TIWF one night, man. I said, man, get you a damn drawstring, man. I said, Dale, you could do a lot more in the ring if you didn't spend most of your time pulling your pants up, dude.
Hey, but the Hustlers,
yeah, man. I love the
Hustlers. They're doing real well right now. They're up in Illinois every once in a while.
Yeah. What is it? SICW?
Yeah.
Yeah. Herb
SICW.
Simmons, yeah, man. The Hustlers has been one of the top teams around this area, around our area for a long time. The Hustlers are a team, a lot of times they don't get the credit I think they deserve, but I'm definitely glad to see them moving up and going to these different places and different companies and different states and tag team champions. I think they're the champions right now, aren't they?
I believe they're the champions in Illinois and in Osceola.
Yeah, I think. Oh, are they Illinois too?
I believe so. I'm not 100%
No,
sure.
oh, no, I'm pretty sure they're the tag team in the SICW, and I think you're right about them having the belt in Osceola too.
Yeah.
Steph Taylor says, "Damn, what up, Action Bronson?" I don't know whether he's talking about you or me, man. If Action Bronson's got a beard, he got to be talking about your ass.
I don't know. I don't even know who Action Johnson Bronson is. I know who Bull Bronson is.
Let me ask you this, dude. We seen the pictures, like you said, man. You're also, man. You ride motorcycles. You're biker. But I seen in those pictures, man. Both of these guys you mentioned, Zane Richard and Dale Tucker. So talk to me about both of these dudes too, man. How y'all met, and how. I mean, obviously y'all are tight, dude. So talk to me about these guys.
Well, like I said, Dale Tucker, me and him met. I was his older brother's best friend. So I when he passed away, I told him I was his new big brother. So me and him's never said that we were friends. We've always said that we were brothers.
Right.
And then, of course, Zane Richards, we all knew Easy Rider, and Easy and my dad worked together. So that's where me and Zane met. And we just became partners and worked each other and done everything. And we became best friends. And matter of fact, the picture of the club that you saw with all of us, me and Zane started that, and then we just recruited everybody else around us.
Wow, that's cool, man. My brother's always been he ain't never been part of no motorcycle club or nothing, but always been a Harley guy. He's got an Indian now. He don't ride them as
Indians are
much as
good
he.
bikes.
Yeah, he got one of them. Actually, about 20 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that, maybe sometime in the 90s. Indian kind of made a comeback, and he got one of those bikes, man. But the motor that was on his bike, all of them, after they made them, there was something inside that was fucked up in it, and it would keep something to do with the gears, man. And no matter what, it ran good for years, man. But the first time it had an issue, it never not had an issue. Just about 2 years
Right.
ago, he couldn't get it fixed. I mean, nobody could fix it, and finally he found a guy in Mississippi who, old biker dude, works on Harleys and everything, and he took it to him, and this guy researched down and found out what the problem was and had to open up the whole motor and basically rebuild it from scratch. Since
Yeah.
then, dude, fucking been running great, man.
Yeah, I just had to go Saturday and put new tires on mine. I was riding around on a death trap because
Right.
I had my tires still had good tread on them, but my back tire, I kept noticing it was flat. Well, couldn't find out I had a screw about that long in it.
Damn.
So I plugged it. So I was riding around with a plugged back tire. And I was like, I can't be riding around here with a
Right.
plug in my tire and blow out and me be in the middle of traffic and everybody run me over.
Right, man. You got to watch out when you're riding out there, man, because nobody gives a fuck about motorcycle riders at all, dude. They don't. They kind of like you in the big truck and them little car. They just don't give a shit, man.
Yeah. Well, I had somebody test the whole my truck at work theory. I was driving down the road. I was in the left lane because I was about to turn left, and this woman come flying up beside me and decided she wanted to merge over in front of me. Didn't make it all the way over because she didn't make it past my truck before she tried to merge.
Right.
Clip my truck, and I was like, "Dadgummit, now I got to do an investigation at work."
Just causing me more fucking headache than
Yeah.
work, man. So
But
look,
hey,
dude,
I get paid by the hour, so I don't care.
we still got a few more minutes. So talk to me about some of your other favorite people that you met in the wrestling business, man.
Well, everybody knows that I'm a mark for him, and I've I've worked him once and tagged with him once, and that's James Storm, Tennessee Cowboy James Storm.
Right. I seen some pictures of you and James Storm in a match together, man.
Yeah, and that was one of my highlights, of course. And then I've met several people like especially around here because I talk to a lot of wrestling fans, and of course it's always cool to bring up that I know Blake Christian, and which I know I've met several guys from
Right.
the big shows, and but of the people you had in the pictures, that's the closest ones that I am to.
Well, let me ask you this. We know your dad, obviously, probably your biggest influence, period, in the wrestling business, but is there anybody else out there that kind of influenced? We know Motley had an influence in you, but on you, but is there anybody else out there that kind of had a hand in influence in your wrestling career, dude?
Well, the way I always explain it to people, Motley taught me how to work, and Derek taught me how to work on TV.
There you go, because there is a difference.
Exactly, like you and Easy said, you gotta know where the hard cams are. You gotta know if there's a roving camera to work to it.
Right.
But yeah, uh, all of the guys that I grew up watching that I got to work with, like Mark Southern, Forrest, Naughty by Nature, Gator McAllister, uh, Sarge O'Reilly. I
Let's
I've
talk
worked.
about Sarge a minute, man. I meant to say something about Sarge earlier when you were mentioning Sarge and Rooster and stuff. Sarge is kind of like Motley up here, man. Sarge has had an influence on pretty much every fucking body who's come through the wrestling business around West Tennessee for the past 30 years, man.
Well, and I also think that over the last 20, everybody that Sarge has trained, he said, Eric, work this person. And the funny part about it is, I love Sarge to death, but he has been known to train a guy 2 or 3 weeks and then put him in a match. I worked at one of his trainees, and he was a good kid. He uh, done the best he could, but his gimmick was the atomic dog. So if you have dog in your name, what's at least one move that you think you would have in your arsenal?
I don't know, man. First thing I think about is a fucking garbage can.
No, no, a bulldog.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, man.
I'm working this kid. Got he worked me back to the corner. I said, "Give me a bulldog." He said, "What's that?" I said, "Okay, never mind. I'm not calling any fucking thing else for you. You just listen to me and take whatever I give you."
Yeah, man, Sarge is not the only one that's guilty of that, dude. I've seen legit guys, man, that's been legit stars in the big time. You know how wrestling is, man. When you need somebody to fill a spot, and you ain't got nobody, you'll damn near
Oh yeah,
you'll put anybody in that damn spot if you think they
yeah.
can
Well,
get through
that
it, man.
I'm the perfect example of that. Like I said, I had never really trained, but I grew up in the business and bumped around all my life.
Right.
But I just got thrown in a match just because I was the right size.
Yeah, but at least, like you said, you'd always been around the business. You knew what it was about at some level. Where I've seen guys that didn't have no idea about what wrestling was about other than what they see on TV, and then guys get them in there, and here's the big issue: if a guy looks real good, built good, pretty, you think you're gonna draw money, draw some girls in with them. Man,
Yeah.
that'll get a guy thrown in the ring way before he needs to be or is ready to be, man.
Well, I got to talk about one more person. My wife just reminded me, and I can't believe that I forgot to talk about him. It's probably one of my favorite people that I've ever met in the business. And in my opinion, he's probably one of the best managers in the area. His his favorite holiday was Saturday, and that's the Cookie Monster, Cookie St. James.
Cookie man. The cleaner, dude. He got the broom, man, sweeping shit out, dude. Talking about the gimmicks, man. You
Yeah,
can't.
because I saw him tagging up with you in your intro video.
Yeah, man, me and Cookie, dude. I've been around Cookie for a long. I guess it's probably he broke in too, man. I don't know where he. I don't know if he even had any matches or anything before Moondog, but that's kind of where I met Cookie at, man. And he
That's when
was
he was still doing the pimp gimmick, wasn't it?
yeah, he was Pimp Daddy then. Cookie
Yeah.
St. James hadn't even been thought of, man. He was
Yeah.
Pimp Daddy.
But
I
yeah,
love
Cookie, I
Cookie,
love
man.
Cookie. Look, me, there's actually a pic, I share it all the time. It was a gimmick. We had a stable at one time during the FTW days that was the 420 Alliance. And
Right up Cookie's alley.
it was me, Cookie, Void, Jason Peter Rose, Miles Murphy, and then JD Rage was in it there for a little while too. So there's actually a picture of me, Cookie, Void, and Miles in the dressing room. I had my wife always hated when I had the full Manchu, and while we were in the dressing room, somebody handed me a pair of clippers, and I had grown my beard out, and I shaved it straight down the middle, and then
Oh,
and then I shaved it into a full Manchu just to take the picture. And of course, I had to go out and work like that. I had
right.
hair.
So,
I had hair all over me from shaving and stuff, and it
so it
was
was a
very
good
itchy.
idea. It was a good idea in the bag, but once you got out there, you realize, oh shit, this shit's permanent. Now I'm stuck with this. If I don't, now I got to cut it all, man.
Yeah, but no, I love Cookie St. James.
Look,
TD.
this motherfucker always waits till the last minute, man. We got like less than 13 fucking minutes, and Tim Davis going
Hey,
now inject himself in this conversation, dude.
hey, I love Tim Davis too. Tim Davis and my dad's real good friends.
Tim's actually the guy who brought me to New Bern to film the first time. He actually Cookie was the guy, the middleman between us, man. He's the guy that kind of hooked me and Tim up, man. You
Yeah,
gotta
I like
cook,
Tim.
Cookie will get your ass too fucking high to even go out, man.
Well, by the time I started hanging out with Cookie, I had done quit smoking. Look at see, I told you,
There it
420
is.
less. Yeah.
How the hell do you quit? It's hard as fuck to quit smoking around Cookie, man.
Well, I hadn't, no, I didn't get to know Cookie beforehand. But whenever when my oldest daughter was born, my wife told me I had to choose drugs or her and the baby, and I quit cold turkey.
Basically, she made that decision for you, didn't she?
Exactly.
Tim said he was there, man. He said I was there. Dude, Erik,
Yeah.
man, been an awesome show, man. Took us a while to get here, an extra week to get here, but we finally got here, man. I've really enjoyed this one, dude. I've had a blast talking to you, and we need to get, if we can't get your dad, I need to get you and Chris. Chris decides he wants to do a little something, man. I want to get you two at least on together, man.
Well, it's going to be hard for us to be in the same place at the same time.
No, I understand that, but I just want y'all on the show together, you know?
Oh yeah, he could probably get on his phone or something and do it, but I honestly, it's funny because I spent 22 and a half years trying to get out of Dyersburg. And I joined the military and I spent the next 2.5 trying to get back to Dyersburg. And then, but like I done the promo for Pro Wrestling Mid South. Seriously, it's a love hate relationship with me and Dyersburg. I always love being in, I always loved Dyersburg because that's my hometown,
Right.
but I hate I hate the drive. I hate. It's like my whole attitude changes when I cross the Tennessee state line from Georgia. I'm like, I'm in a bad mood until we leave.
Right.
When I
I,
come back across that Georgia state line, I'm happy go lucky again. But I I don't know what it is. And I've said ever since I've been here, I said, if it wasn't for my family and friends, I would never go back to Dyersburg. But it's just part of it here.
dude, I understand that fully. Look, man, I growed up in Helena, Arkansas. Had a blast there. Left there in 1998 and I'm like you, I never thought I would leave there and stay away. And then I never thought that I would not even like going back. But dude, I'm very seldom. If me and my brother hook up, usually he comes up here, man,
Yeah.
and stays with us a few days because I'm the same way, man. I can be in a great mood until I hit the Poinsett County, not Poinsett County, Lee County city limits. And the minute I do, man, my whole attitude changes. And this is a place, dude, I had some of the greatest times in my life growing up, man. Some of the most fun. Never thought I would leave there and stay away. And then I never thought I wouldn't want to go back. But dude, I don't even, I'm like you. It just don't do it for me. I don't even like going there, even just a visit for a few hours, man.
Well, at least you can get your brother to come visit you.
Very look, very few and far between, man. Actually, we actually ain't even seen each other since. I take that back. A few weeks ago, when my kids got out for spring break, we actually met him on the interstate on the outside of Memphis because they went and stayed a week with him, and we seen each other for a few minutes. But he hadn't actually been up here in probably 8 or 9 months now, man. Of course,
Yeah.
he's getting older, and he's getting where he don't like leaving and don't like driving at night, which I can understand that. He says, Tim Davis says, Buster, Team Redneck coming soon, watch. Then he comes back and says, one of my greatest friends, Sexy Sam.
Well, tell Sexy Sam I said hello the next time you see him.
I will, man. I talk to him usually about once a week, at least on the phone, but he's supposed to be coming up here and staying with us a few days and visiting just to get away from the house, man. I hope he does soon, and I'll definitely tell him, dude. There ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah, I've always loved working with Sexy Sam.
He put them boots on your ass, man.
Yeah, it ain't nothing to it.
Look, Tim Davis says Sam don't like cops. Yeah, man.
Me neither.
He don't like cops at all, man. This motherfucker will. If there's a cop in the audience at a show anywhere, he will make a beeline to try to harass that cop. Dude, we were in Paragould. It was an outside show, and there was a cop. It was like some kind of festival. I want to say maybe it was a Loose Caboose festival. And you know, there's police around, and obviously there was a police kind of watching the wrestling. Man, he went after this fucking cop before it was over. This cop tried to arrest him, man, for just being a heel and talking shit. He didn't really go out of the way. He just badgered this fucking dude, man.
Yeah.
We had to talk him out of arresting him, man. Like, he really ain't done nothing, man. You just kind of mad because he got under your skin. But, dude, he'll go after a cop in a minute, man.
Oh, yeah.
Erik, dude, hold on. I had some weird shit just there it goes. Whew. Erik, dude, like I said, man, it's been my pleasure. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
It was worth the wait.
Yes, sir, man. I've enjoyed the hell out of it, man. When are you coming back down around this area, man?
I'll probably be there sometime next month, but I'm probably not gonna wrestle whenever I come this time. I'm just gonna play golf with my dad.
You say that, man. You'll probably leave up there.
No,
that.
I'm not good. If I do, I'll wrestle on Saturday night in Dyersburg, but I definitely won't be. I won't be in town on Friday night.
Right.
But if I'll be there, and I've already got me a day set up with my dad to come play golf, and you never know, I might get off the golf course and show up to wrestle. But
Go see you already talking yourself into wrestling, man.
well,
Eric,
I was told anytime I come to town to let folks know so I can wrestle.
yeah, man, you got an open spot at Osceola. Sounds like you got an open spot at Pro Wrestling Mid-South, dude. Pretty cool, man. Eric, my brother, we got to get off here, dude. My pleasure. Like I said, I appreciate you giving me some of your time, man. And talk to your brother, man. If we can make this happen, talk to your dad, too, man. I'd love to have the three of you guys on, man.
I'll say something to both of them, but even if they don't want to do it, I'm always available anytime you need somebody.
Yes, sir. We'll get you back on for sure.
If you have somebody that, like Jet said, if you got somebody don't got an hour or two to give to you to push themselves, let me know. I'll take their place.
Man, I had to keep Jed on Sunday nights, man. That show this past Sunday, in my head, it was going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most, and then 3 hours later. That's why I put Jed on Sundays, man.
Yeah, I haven't ever listened to any of Jet's interviews. I guess it's just I don't watch much YouTube on Sunday nights.
I hear you. Eric, I got to get out of here, dude.
I got you.
Dude, you and your family have a great night, man, and holler at me when you come down this way, man. Maybe I'll be able to make it to Pro Wrestling Mid-South if you go there.
All righty, I'll shoot you a date.
Okay. All right, my friends, you take it easy.
All right, you too.
All right, y'all, there it was. Southern Regulator, Erik Hayes, from a family of wrestlers around here, man. Dad, his brother, Team Redneck, obviously. Look, guys, I appreciate everybody who has interacted with us, everybody who's tuned in to us. And tomorrow night, we're back, 7 p.m. I got the Modern Day Monsters. That's a show you definitely want to check out. And then Thursday, Premier Pro Wrestling Crew is back. They got a big show in Yorkville Friday night, this coming Friday, and we're going to be running through the whole card. So tomorrow and Thursday, we're back. Come check us out, 7 p.m. like always. I appreciate every one of you guys who tuned in.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.